Today's conversation is with Zack Hample, but you may know him as Foul Ball Guy. He's an avid baseball fan who's traveled around the country for over 25 years collecting foul balls at baseball games, and he has snagged over 11,000 in his lifetime. Now, he likes to call himself home run guy, and he has caught famous home runs such as Mike Trout's first career home run.
This one's got a chance to get out of here. Gone! Three-run Jimmy Jack, first big league home run for Mike Trout.
And A-Rod's 3,000th hit, which was a home run to right field in Yankee Stadium. We also talked about his day at the Chicago White Sox game with Barstool Big Cat.
Big Cat and Foul Ball Guy, just do a double team on it.
Home run guy.
What his ideal Major League Stadium would look like if he could design one himself, and much more. It's a jam-packed episode, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel because I got more coming for you just around the corner. But for now, enjoy today's conversation with professional ball hawk Zack Hample. Today, I'm joined by Zack Hample. Zack, there's no baseball season going on right now. We're stuck inside, but thanks for taking some time to join me here and talk a little baseball.
Hey, it's a pleasure. I'm always glad to talk about my favorite sport.
Well, Zack, you got started doing this foul ball. I don't want to say it's a lifestyle really for you, and you got started doing this when you were pretty young. So let's start by you taking us through your background of you played baseball, but then you decided that you wanted to get into this. What took you to that decision and wanting to dedicate your life to traveling around and catching foul balls and going to all these baseball games?
I was obsessed with going to games and catching baseballs even while I was still playing, because I started going to a zillion games when I was like 14. And, you know, that's my freshman year of high school. I played all 4 years in high school, and I played my freshman year in college. I played summer ball. So there was definitely overlap, and my goal and my dream was to play Major League Baseball. But, you know, like so many people, there came a point when I realized that wasn't going to happen and I wasn't good enough. But right around the time that I stopped playing college ball and gave up on my own playing career, that's when I wrote my first book called How to Snag Major League Baseballs. And that that came out my junior year of college and kind of put me on the map, if you will. And I just got a ton of media attention, more than I deserved probably, but that really jump-started my lifestyle / career, I guess. It wasn't a full-time thing at that point, but over the years, thanks to some good luck and good decisions, it's really turned into a full-time thing.
Do you make money off of YouTube and sponsorships, or do you have other things mixed in there, or how do you get that income?
Those are the two big ones: revenue from the videos and then sponsorships. I've had season-long sponsorships with SeatGeek each of the last 3 years, and I think they probably would have done it again this year, but there are no games, no one's buying tickets. It doesn't make sense for them to – I mean, we couldn't be doing anything anyway. But I also run a side business that I call Watch with Zack, where I take people to games and guarantee they'll get at least one baseball. So that helps as far as just how I make money.
So how do you guarantee that, Zack?
Well, the guarantee does include batting practice. I'm not guaranteeing walk-off grand slams or game foul balls or anything, but sometimes, you know, game home runs happen, even at Watch with Zack games, foul balls during games. But I had my own personal streak of more than 25 years where I never got shut out going to a game. I'd always get at least one ball, whether it was a toss-up or a home run, batting practice during the game. After the game, the umpires will walk off the field. The home plate ump grabs baseballs out of his pouch and tosses them up. You know, I even got umpire balls occasionally to keep my streak alive after getting shut out the whole day. So there's so many ways to get baseballs, and that's what makes it fun. So I have the Watch with Zack games. I'm also getting into some merch. Got a bunch of t-shirts available now on my website, and I've written 3 baseball books, and one of those, which came out 13 years ago, is still earning royalties. So I have 5 different sources of baseball-related income, and it's slowed down to some extent now with, you know, no games happening. But then again, I'm also not spending any money traveling to games, and I have to pay for travel for 2 people because I bring a videographer. I pay him to film. I pay guys to edit. There's tickets to games, there's hotels, rental cars, parking, gas, tolls, flights. I mean, it's very expensive what I do, but it also generates a lot of revenue. So it's, everything has just gone down several notches, but still doing all right.
Are you buying the cheapest ticket to every game and just going in and sitting in the outfield, or are you making an effort to buy a more expensive ticket just in case you need to be in a place where you have to have a chance to catch a foul ball?
It really just depends on the stadium and how security is and how crowded it's going to be and maybe what baseballs I'm trying to catch that day. Maybe I just want to stay in the outfield and go for home runs, and those might be the cheapest tickets anyway. Some ballparks have standing room where no matter what ticket you buy, last row of the upper deck, you can still go hang out in this spot where it's good for foul balls or home runs. But yeah, I do sometimes buy dugout seats or seats closer in the infield. I've bought my way into premium seating sometimes, like suites and other areas. Occasionally I'll buy tickets in 2 different spots if I want to make sure that I can go back and forth. And there was one game when I bought tickets in 3 spots because I'm insane. That was the night that I got my 10,000th baseball, and I wanted to make sure that I could go anywhere I wanted in the stadium and not be hassled by security. So got to do what it takes, man,
Wow. So you mentioned the Watch with Zack. What's the highlight of Watch with Zack? What's the best baseball you've caught with Watch with Zack?
I caught a Kevin Millar game home run at the old Yankee Stadium and then deked out the whole crowd by pretending to throw it back, and then I didn't. I think that's the only game home run that anybody, whether it's myself or my clients, have gotten at a Watch with Zack game. But I've been with a bunch of kids who themselves have gotten foul balls during games, lots of commemorative balls, a bunch of autographs that we've collected. Sometimes, I usually sit wherever the people that I'm with have tickets, and sometimes people really splurge. So I've been down in the Legends area at Yankee Stadium a number of times for these games where it's just all you can eat and it's the fanciest food, and you're right in the front row behind the dugout, down the line, getting close to Aaron Judge, you name it. So there have been all kinds of fun experiences like that. I think the highlight that makes people want to do it is that there's almost always at least one kid involved. It's usually at least one parent and one kid. Sometimes both parents and a kid. Sometimes it's a family of 5. I did a birthday party where it was like me and 20 kids and a few parents. But kids are just obsessed with YouTube. I'm obsessed with YouTube, right? Everybody's watching it. And I think when you're especially a certain age, it's just so cool to maybe meet your favorite YouTuber and then to actually be in a video that probably at worst is going to get like 40 or 50,000 views. And, I did one Watch with Zack game, I think just about a year ago, April in Philly, which is coming up on 1 million views now. So, if you're a kid and you can get in a baseball video and make all your friends jealous and hang out with me and catch some baseballs and eat some crazy food, like that's just a really fun day that a lot of people are into.
Yeah, you ended your streak last year at 1,523 games, but you did it on purpose because you said you wanted to enjoy baseball more. You didn't want to feel like you were going to a game and always obligated to catch a ball. Now that you're almost a year removed from that, do you have any regrets from ending the streak, or are you still okay with that?
Not really any regrets, although with this whole coronavirus thing, if I had kept the streak going through last year, then since there might not even be any games this year, from a calendar year standpoint, I could have been like, oh yeah, it was 27 years long, even though like the 27th year there were no games. But you know what? I don't want to think like that. I was glad to end it so that I wouldn't have to worry about those numbers. And I did it on my own terms, which some people criticize. They just thought that I should have kept trying and let the streak end naturally. And it's like, Cal Ripken Jr. ended his streak intentionally. If it's good enough for Cal, it's good enough for me. And everybody has an opinion on what I do. There's haters out there. There are people who are really big fans, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just always hope that people will express it kindly if they don't approve of what I'm doing. There are some people who are pretty nasty, and it's like, come on, man, we're all baseball fans. What's that about?
So maybe it wasn't an official watch with Zack, but it basically was when you took Big Cat into the Chicago White Sox game, which is one of my favorite pieces of content on YouTube. I mean, that 10-minute video, if you all watching haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Well, just take us through that one and how much fun. I mean, I know I'm a huge fan of Big Cat and Barstool, but it seems like you guys kind of were able to have that humor together and make that video, which turned out to be fantastic.
Definitely. Barstool Sports had previously made fun of me a bit prior to that. So when they got in touch and Big Cat wanted to do this game, I was expecting to be made fun of again, but I hoped that like they'd be somewhat nice, or I could try to make a case for myself why I'm not the worst person ever. But it turned out that Big Cat was just so cool right from the start. And I even said to him off camera, I was like, dude, are you trolling me? Like, you're being all nice on camera, but then you're going to edit this video to make me seem like a dick. And he's like, no, dude, straight up, like, this is amazing. You're the man. Once you got that A-Rod ball, I was like, this dude is legit. And he was so friendly. And he tweeted about us being together at the game. And there were some rude replies that came in right away. And his responses to the haters were hilarious. At one point, he was like, I'm Zack Hample's official security detail. Someone else said something rude, and Big Cat tweeted back. He goes, welcome to Blockville, hombre, and he blocked the guy. Like, he was hilarious. He was so nice. And, you know, I caught a few balls. He got one. We got him a toss-up from one of the Angels coaches down at the first base dugout, and we shared a big ice cream helmet. Like, it was just hilarious the whole day. We were supposed to go to a game together maybe the next year in Detroit, and he was going to drive like 4 hours to get there. The weather forecast was horrendous. And I actually told him, you know what, don't bother coming. They're probably not going to do batting practice. They might not play. And he's like, okay, we'll figure out another time. Well, guess what? It never rained. There was batting practice. I got 10 baseballs. He didn't make it because I told him not to make it. And we never went to a game after that. So I feel like I really blew that one. It would be great to connect with him again someday, but he's big time now, and I guess he's busy with, 10 different sports, just covering everything, college level, professional level. So Big Cat, if you're out there, let's do it up, man. Come on.
So you've had all these experiences with, you mentioned catching the 3,000th hit. 3,000th home run that'd be something. Impressive. Yeah, that'd be something. But but you catch all these balls. What's the pinnacle? What's the end goal here? I mean, eventually, I know you're doing this as a job, so there's that. But is there ever a time when you're going to be like, all right, this is like, it can't get any higher than this?
The A-Rod 3,000th hit, that's about as good as it gets, unless, Mike Trout gets 4,000 hits and it's like a grand slam and I catch it. Like, a 3,000th hit baseball from maybe the most famous baseball player of the last generation, right? I mean, like, everybody knows A-Rod, even if you don't know baseball. So at this point, my goal for a long time was to get to 10,000 balls. My goal was to get one ball initially, and then I realized that it was a lot easier than I thought after getting shut out for 6 years. I mean, I went to my first game when I was 6, and I didn't get my first ball till I was 12. And then when I was 14, I started going more often, and I got a bunch. So I changed my goal to 100 lifetime, and I got more than 100 just that season alone. So I changed my goal to 1,000. That took me 4 years. And then I got number 10,000 a few years ago. So, like, I'm not trying to add another digit at this point. I'm not getting 100,000 baseballs. Sorry to break the bad news to everybody, but there are limits. But I guess as far as one moment, I don't know that anything could really top that A-Rod ball, but I would love to get 100 lifetime game home runs, and I'm up in the low 70s right now. So, if things are going well, I'll get maybe one game home run per month over the course of the season, but I have to go to like 10 or 15 games a month to do that. So that's a lot of games. So, someday I'll get there. I don't know. I'm trying to get to as many stadiums as possible. I would have made it to 3 new ones this year and pushed my lifetime MLB stadium total to 60, but now that's up in the air. So I don't know. Just being able to do this full time as a living is maybe that's the pinnacle. You know, I'm not even sure at this point, but it's fun. I'm supporting myself. I do this whole charity thing, raising a ton of money to help kids play ball, and just meeting and connecting with so many awesome people out there, and inspiring lots of kids to go to games and bring their gloves and interact with the players, and, you know, just trying to make baseball more fun and interactive for everybody.
Yeah. You don't sell the baseballs, right? You never, if you catch a milestone, you never sell them. And you caught Mike Trout's first home run, right?
I did in 2011 in Baltimore.
So do you look back on any of those, like maybe Mike Trout's or anything, and you think, oh, maybe if I would have tossed that one on eBay?
I wonder what if, but I don't have any regrets. You know, if I took the Trout ball and the A-Rod ball and sold them together, I really think that would be $1 million, which might sound crazy to some people, but, you know, Mark McGwire's 70th home run in 1998 sold for $3 million. And sure, the market was inflated back then, but there's a lot of money for these once-in-a-generation baseballs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think about having all that money and how things might change, but you lose half to taxes right away. And, you know, I'm fortunately in a position where I'm not scraping by to pay my bills. You know, I know guys out there who sell batting practice balls because they need the money. And if they get $10 or $20 for a ball, they'll take it. And I know guys that collect autographs and sell those, and they get a lot of crap. Like, oh, like you're ruining the spirit of the thing and it's for kids and this and that. Like, that is the biggest load of BS. You know, it's a free market. Anybody can do what they want. If you want to keep them, that's great. Or if you want to give it back to the players, that's great if you catch a milestone. I don't think you deserve credit as being a hero for doing something like that. If you want to sell baseballs, I don't think you should be attacked for being greedy and selfish. It's like, you know, you can do what you want with it. It's your baseball. And again, fortunately, I'm in a position where I don't need to sell stuff, but I don't know, maybe someday I will need to, or I'll decide to, and hopefully people will just chill out about it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So you're running through aisles during games all the time. Give me your top 3 worst injuries you've sustained on the job, Zach.
Ooh.
And how calloused are your thighs and your calves from running into the cup holders all over the place?
I don't have, thankfully, any permanent scars from bumping into armrests and cup holders and stuff like that. But sometimes at the time, I have some purple bruises and it's ugly. But I sprained the hell out of my ankle in 2011 at Citi Field, running down a staircase and just turning too quickly. Not even trying to get a ball at that moment, just rushing from one area of the stadium to the other. And I was in a boot and on crutches for 3 weeks. And that happened right before I was supposed to go out on a 10-day road trip to Seattle and Denver and Boston. And I still went on the trip in a boot and on crutches. That was awful. I was in so much pain. I got hit in the face with the baseball at Turner Field in 2013. It was a batting practice home run that landed on a little concrete ledge about 5 feet in front of me, or maybe a little bit more, because the ledge was angled down. And I was waiting to see, like, was it going to land in the front row or was it going to hit the top of the wall? It landed perfectly on the ledge. And because of the angle, it hit the ledge and ricocheted right into my face.
Oh.
They say that home runs lose about half of their velocity, like from when they leave the bat to when they enter the seats, at least like the normal trajectory ones. So you figure that ball was still going about 50 miles an hour when it hit the concrete, and it definitely did not lose any velocity between hitting that concrete and hitting my face. So I had such a big, puffy purple-black eye that I almost couldn't open my eye to take my contacts out that night. That was pretty bad. It could have been a lot worse. I thankfully turned my face at the very last second, or else it could have been a direct hit on my eye. It sort of got me like right on the cheekbone. And other injuries besides that, I can't. Those are the top 2. I'm gonna go with my top. I know you asked for my top 3, but I'm just giving.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. You've
Bruised
been healthy
ego.
on the job.
How about that? Bruised ego overall as the top 3rd. Just all the ones that I've missed over the years.
You know, it's funny you say that because sometimes when you're watching a game, or I guess when you're not because you're there, but it's always funny when you're watching Sports Center if we're watching a game live and a home run goes to the seats, and all of a sudden you see this little blur of a black cat come sprinting across the aisle, and you're like, oh my God, there's Zack going. I mean, do you go back into the videos and see yourself or watch it? I just always get a kick out of it when I see it because I'm like, oh my God, there he is again.
Yeah, I always try to get all the footage of myself catching home run balls. For a while, I had a friend who worked for Major League Baseball who had access to all of that stuff, and he was sending me video clips. Now I just have to grab them off MLB.com like everyone else. But yeah, it's fun to relive some of those moments. But I guess if anything, I'll look at the ones that I barely missed and try to figure out what went wrong. You know, how
You study film?
I mean,
Yes,
for
you
like
do. Yeah,
for
you
like
do.
a minute here and there, I don't spend big chunks of time. I'm not like, hitters going over with scouts and like, all the stuff like that. But, if I miss one, I'll go back and look at the highlights and just be like, oh damn, I got a late break on it. I didn't realize it was going to go over my head, or, I didn't think it was that crowded, but then I'll go back and look and it's like, yeah, it actually was pretty packed out there. That's why I wasn't able to get farther into the section. So I'll look at stuff like that and sometimes feel worse and sometimes feel better. But it is tough to watch highlights in general because every time a home run lands, it's like, man, I was in that section at that stadium and it was empty and they didn't hit anything. And now they just hit 3 home runs there. If I was there this night, I drive myself crazy like that. So I have to take it easy on watching highlights sometimes.
Do you like or dislike the home run derby?
Oh, I love it. It's the best event of the whole year, I think. Batting practice is my most favorite time of the day anyway, just on a normal game. I like BP more than the game itself. Maybe that's awful to say, but it's true, at least for my purposes. And the home run derby is like 5 hours of batting practice. You have every all-star position player taking BP before the derby, and then the derby itself, you got those 8 guys just cranking. It's tough to catch balls because it's so packed, even from the start of BP. And everybody's bringing glove, and everybody's standing on the bleacher benches, and everybody's hyped up. So it's not like a normal BP where the stadium is mostly empty and security is lax and you can go anywhere. They often check tickets just to get into the outfield seats for batting practice at the home run derbies. So it's a pretty intense experience, but it is so much fun.
Yeah. If you could design a baseball stadium, and now don't say that the whole outfield is a big berm that you can run around. If you could design your best ideal stadium, what would you do? For you, somebody and a major league team says, here's the keys to the architecture of our new stadium, and the outfield has to have seats in it. It can't just be one big Texas Rangers center field. What are you doing?
I mean, I could sort of mix and match and take this element from this stadium, that element, like the second deck in Milwaukee behind home plate, best spot in the majors for foul balls, because you have 10 rows down in front and then a big walkway behind all the seats, and all the foul balls just loop over the protective screen. And, security used to be cool about letting people stand there. I think maybe because of the fact that I blew it up on YouTube, then too many people tried to do it and now they clamped down altogether. But that's just an ideal setup for foul balls. I mean, the standing room down the right field line in Baltimore, the flag court, that's amazing. I guess you'd want to have a really big walkway behind the wall. Coors Field in Denver, you have a wheelchair accessible, like a handicapped aisle right behind the outfield wall. You need special tickets to get down there. So very few people are there. And there is endless room to run for home runs. It is so easy to catch home runs there. It makes me weep to see all the home run balls that those guys can catch with no competition. So I would definitely take that. First of all, I'd get rid of all the protective netting down the foul lines. You want to have some netting over the dugouts, fine, but you don't need netting near the foul poles. That's just ridiculous. So I'd have some nice low walls down the foul lines where people can lean over and scoop up baseballs. I love the fountains in Kansas City. That's another good place to scoop balls out with a special water device. I don't know. It's all about just having walkways and not too much netting and not too much stuff that's in your way. And yeah, I guess I'd want a retractable roof so that batting practice would never get rained out.
You think of everything.
Yeah.
So what's the most unique place you've ever caught a ball? Now, you've caught one, I think, in Toronto. You caught one when you were out in the hotel room. Somebody threw you one out in the Rogers Center. Is that the most unique, or is there somewhere else?
I think getting a ball in my hotel room inside a stadium, yeah, that's the best one.
That trumps everything else?
I think it does. I've gotten baseballs in some really weird ways over the years. I remember back at Shea Stadium, the Mets' old ballpark, there was a picnic area out in left field, which was often closed because it was for groups of like 100 or more. And if they didn't have a large group, nobody got out there. You'd think maybe they'd just sell individual tickets, but nope. That's the Mets for you. Like, they're operating on their own universe. And there was an employee checkpoint from where the main part of the stadium connected to the picnic area. There was a home run ball that landed in the picnic area, just out on this open air concourse where the employees were just pushing their food carts back and forth. And nobody saw this baseball. It was just sitting there. And I went all the way down to street level in the main part of the stadium. And there was this guard just like sitting on a little stool right in this big gate sort of doorway where the employees were going in and out. And he was just reading a paper, not even looking up. And I could see like 50 feet past him was this baseball just sitting on the walkway. And there's just like employees walking around. Like, I don't know how nobody saw it. I mean, it was like sort of toward the back wall. And so I just kind of walked right past this guy, this guard. He never looked up at me. I walked out into this employee area, picked up the ball, walked back. Guy never looked up. And I'm like, wow, great security, Mets. So that's probably one of the weirdest ways that I've gotten a ball. You go to, I think I've been to more than 1,700 Major League games and more than 11,000 baseballs. There's going to be some weird ones in there. Not everything is a BP homer on the fly or a toss-up. There's like nooks and crannies, and every stadium has different weird areas and rules, and it's just, there's all kinds of shenanigans that happens. And I understand that way back in the day, like pre 9/11, you go back into the 1980s, the 70s, before I was doing this, there was borderline trespassing that some of these old school ball hawks were doing to get to game home runs that would fall down into inaccessible areas, and like taking service elevators and sneaking and wearing disguises. Like, it was so crazy back in the day. Now everything is very secure and manicured, and it's hard to have these weird, unexpected adventures, but still sometimes things pop up, and that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you look at this career that you've had, and you have, what'd you say, over 11,000 balls now? Yeah. Do you look back at it and do you ever kind of like look at it and you're like, I mean, the players that you've met or the balls that you've caught or getting to meet some of these guys, some people might look at it one way, some people might look at it another way, but you yourself, you're the one doing it. What do you think of your career as a whole?
I think it's something that a lot of people think is just weird and obsessive, and why the hell would anybody want to do that? But then on the other hand, I think there are actually a lot of people out there that would love to do what I do and just go to games almost full time and film it and share it. And I've done a lot of writing about it. So I think in a way I am living a lot of people's dreams. And I don't say that, I don't mean to brag or anything like that, but I mean, I get emails and comments from people regularly who say that they're living vicariously through me. And, thank you for taking us on your adventures so we can see all these stadiums that we'd never get to visit. So, I mean, I know that there are people who've had season tickets for decades who've been to as many games as I have, but they just don't broadcast it. They're not running around like maniacs and catching balls. They might be sitting there with their families or with business partners, or just quietly keeping score in their scorebooks, or drinking a beer, eating hot dogs. So they might not get the attention, but I mean, there are people that love baseball more than I do. I mean, I've heard from a lot of people during this pandemic who have just said straight up that they are crushed and they are lost without baseball and they're bored and they don't know what to do with themselves. That would have been me when I was 15, but now my life has gotten a lot more complex and complicated, not always for the better, but in many ways it has. And there's just so many other things that I love doing, and I don't need baseball anymore, which sounds crazy, but it's true. I mean, I need it as a living, but I mean, if I don't go to a single baseball game this whole year, I'll be fine. I can still film baseball videos. I can show my collectibles. I can talk about it. I can do Q&A stuff. I could just not post a video for a year and I'll still be fine. And I have other things to keep myself entertained. So I'm not as crazy about baseball as people would think based on what they see on the internet, because I don't broadcast the other parts of my life. I'm only showing the baseball stuff. So people think that that's all there is to me. So I don't know. You asked a question and I kind of rambled for a minute, but you inspired a lot of thought. That's a good question. And I don't know, I guess I am a weirdo and I'm one of the game's characters. You know, people have said that that's how they think of me. And yeah, I accept that. But in my mind, it's like baseball is just one thing that I do. Even if I go to 90 baseball games a year, think about how many days there are in a year. That's only a quarter of the days in the year that I'm at a game. What the hell do you think I'm doing with myself the other 3/4 of the time? I'm not at baseball games. There's a lot of other stuff going on. So I think that's something that people don't realize, you know?
Yeah. How many of those 11,000 baseballs do you have sitting in your apartment?
Only a few hundred. I have a lot of them in storage, and I've also given away thousands of baseballs over the years. I kept all of them early on, then I started giving away a few here and there, and in the last number of years, I've given away most of the baseballs that I catch. I keep the commemorative balls, I keep the game home runs. Unless I catch a gamer that the player wants for himself, then I'll give it to him. But yeah, I don't really keep too many of the baseballs at this point.
What kind of relationship have you built with some of the players? Have you kind of started to get to know, you've been doing this long enough. That might be a bad question. Have you gotten to build some relationships with anybody, or did they just see you up in the stands and when the visiting team has a batting practice, you have one hat on, then the home team comes out, they have, you have their hat on. Are they just looking at you and they're like, oh, there's that guy again? Or what's your relationship with some of the players?
I think there's a wide range of reactions. I find that the nicer human beings who tend to play Major League Baseball are the ones who are nice to me. Like guys who just have attitude problems in general are the ones that give me a hard time. So Clayton Kershaw was very rude to me. I could name 10 or 20 players that everybody's heard of who've been rude, and it's like having spoken to baseball insiders and you hear stories about these players behind the scenes, it's like, wow, my experience with them lines up perfectly with what other people have said. And the guys who are really friendly and generous and aren't being stingy with baseballs, those are the guys that tend to be really friendly to all the fans and that have a really good rapport. So I don't know. Yeah, I've become friends with players and communicated with players outside of games. Heath Bell is the guy that I've become friendliest with. And whenever I'm in San Diego, we usually meet up for lunch. We'll often meet at the game. If he might just go as a fan, bring his son, we'll hang out there. And yeah, I stayed at his house and we road tripped to the World Series at Dodger Stadium a few years back. So he's amazing. And there are other players that definitely recognize me at games and they've told me that they watch my videos. They're a big fan. There are guys that'll, take a ball and they'll say, hey, put this in the video, and then they throw it to me. So they're like really friendly guys, but sure, there are some players who are like, hey, you've already gotten enough balls. And it's just like, yeah, well, you've already earned enough money. You don't see me complaining about your paycheck. It's like, you don't even pay for the baseballs. Why do you care if I get 3 balls or 10 balls? Like, I'm giving them all away. I'm donating them to charity. Like, really? I remember asking Kike Hernandez for an autograph or a baseball or something in Cincinnati a few years back when the Dodgers were there. I think he just refused to sign an autograph for me. And he basically just told me straight up. He was like 3 feet away from me. He goes, "You're too old for this." And I'm just like, bro, you're the grown man wearing pajamas getting paid to swing a piece of wood at a baseball. Like, people like me who are too old are the ones paying for tickets and merch. Like, yeah, you want to get kids on board, but a 10-year-old kid doesn't have any money. It's the kid's parents that are buying him stuff. And it's just like, for a player to have that kind of attitude and refuse to accommodate a grown-up, it's like, sure, get all the kids first. And if you run out of time and you can't sign for me, that's fine. But don't give me an attitude and tell me that I'm too old to enjoy a game. Like, screw you. So, like, yeah, I definitely take issue with players who bring all kinds of attitude like that. But in my experience, there are many more guys who are friendly than there are guys who are rude.
Sounds like you're just not going to a Dodgers game anytime soon.
Yo, seriously, the Dodgers have historically been the rudest team. And I remember going all the way back almost 20 years. The Dodgers, they just have this vibe of like, we're the Dodgers, screw you. They are the least fan-friendly team. And I'm not saying they're all like that. There have been many cool guys on the Dodgers, but there's just like every stadium and every team and every fan base, it has its own vibe. And the Dodgers definitely have this. I mean, the Yankees are kind of like that too. Any team that's so big that it's just like they're overwhelmed. And I get it. It's like these guys, maybe they're on the road, they're at hotels, they just want to relax, be with their families. And there's 100 fans camped outside the hotels trying to get their autograph at all hours of the night. I can see why that would be exhausting. But yeah, I mean, I have issues with how the Dodgers have treated me over the years. That's for sure.
So what's the earliest you've ever shown up to a game?
I mean, I guess maybe doing media stuff and being interviewed early in the day. I mean, I've probably gotten there like, early in the afternoon for a night game.
Although, but are you ever getting there before batting practice, like waiting in line for the gates to open if it's going to be a crowded game that you want to be like right? Like,
oh yeah,
first in line
home run derby, all-star game. I'll often show up 3 hours before the gates open. And the gates often open
Good
3 hours
Lord.
before first pitch. So if it's like an 8 o'clock start, I'll get there at 2 p.m., grab some sunblock, make sure I have my portable phone charger with me and like just chill out there for hours and hope to be the first in, run in, get a baseball early on or grab a good spot in the front row. And so, yeah, it's definitely a time commitment. That's for sure.
All right. So a couple more questions and I'll let you go. First question is, have you ever tried to patent, or maybe you have, patent your glove trick?
I have not. I actually shared photographs of it in my first book, and I explained how to set it up. And in more recent years, I filmed a YouTube tutorial showing how to set it up. So I don't know. It's hard to patent something.
It's hard to patent an idea.
Well, I mean, it just uses everyday materials. It's just like string and a rubber band and a Sharpie. I mean, there are kids out there who use the so-called cup trick. It's just like a cup on a piece of string, and that goes over baseballs and picks it up. And there's some kids out there who've, I don't want to say mass produced. I don't think they have like a factory in China pumping them out, but however they do it, they sell them basically and promote it. And I realize, yeah, there could have been a lot of money in it for me with my bigger platform in the baseball world, if I had mass produced cup tricks and sold them, but I was late to catch on to the merch game. I feel like I'm a step behind a lot of things. Like I just got on TikTok a couple of weeks ago. I was like the last person ever to get a cell phone. Then I was the last person ever to get a smartphone. I was the last person to join Facebook. I still don't use it. I was the first one to start, blogging about running around stadiums and catching balls. And then I was the first person to film YouTube videos on it, but I'm behind the curve in a lot of ways.
All right. Last question here. I'll give you a little platform here. I'd be curious to see what you have to say. You have the generic hat on right now. You're the next commissioner of baseball.
Woohoo!
What is your, if any, everybody keeps talking about changes to baseball. Some people want shorter games. Some people want the pitch clock, robot umps. So whatever. The floor is yours as an open palette as a commissioner. What is Zack Hample's change, if any, to baseball?
Just one thing?
Just no, anything you would do. What would you do in 2020 to mold baseball maybe to adapt to 2020, if anything?
Well, I'd start by making sure that every stadium opens at least 2.5 hours early so that fans can get inside and see the home team take batting practice and warm up. I'd probably also mandate that at least, let's say, at least 4 players every day, and it has to be different ones, sign autographs. And that way you could say, if 4 different guys sign every day, then every player signs once a week, and every day you're getting 4 different guys signing, including the superstars. You're going to spend half an hour and sign autographs for everyone. And I think I would try to, it's hard to make teams do this, but I would try to reduce the cost of concession items and reduce the cost of parking. I would try to make it more affordable. You have billion-dollar owners that are just scraping every last penny out of people, and the world itself is so profit-driven that you're just losing out on so much other stuff. And I think Major League Baseball would have to put its own money back in to draw more people in. I think just the whole idea of making the sport more accessible financially and being able to interact with the players and getting inside the stadiums, stuff like that would be my focus. I think if you do that, game times wouldn't matter so much. But if you want to shorten games, then you don't eliminate intentional walks. I mean, or things like that. You don't have 7-inning games or a home run derby in the 10th inning to win it or start a runner on second base. I think what you do is you simply do not allow players to step out of the batter's box, period. End of story. Like 1 foot in the box and then let's go. And you start like just awarding a strike for the pitcher if the batter steps out, or if the pitcher steps off the rubber, like the batter gets a ball. Like people will complain, oh, well, you're going to get games that last 2 hours and 18 minutes. If that's what you want to do, make a uniform rule, be strict about it, and or straight up have a pitch clock. I don't care. But this whole, it's very ambiguous right now. And all these little sort of peripheral things that they're doing to try to speed up the game, it's not going to make a difference.
I think affordability is a great point. I think if you like baseball, you're going to watch it. If you don't like baseball, you're not going to spend 3 hours of your day watching it. Maybe you watch here or there. You either like it or you don't, and I don't think you necessarily need to cater to all the people that don't like it to begin with by shortening to 7 innings or whatever it may be. Maybe that's a path down the line, or maybe you go to a shorter season as a whole. I don't know, but I think affordability is a great point there.
I mean, you could do fun things like, if you want more offense, then how about the pitcher who starts the game also has to finish the game? Get some softball numbers up there. Or how about you just want to make things weird? If you break your bat, you still have to keep using that bat for the rest of the game. Or it's like volleyball. Everybody changes positions like every inning. It's like, the first baseman comes in and pitches, and then he goes and plays second, and then you just make it weird, man. I don't know. For an inning, you have to pitch with your opposite hand. I don't know. Have a home run derby. Like make it like XFL or arena baseball. Make it weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go big, have 100 runs score per game. I don't know. But the whole thing, like now relievers have to pitch to at least 3 batters. It's like maybe this coronavirus is the universe's way of saying like, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. No baseball. It's just such a beautiful game, and I think they should stop messing with it. Stop messing with it. It's good. Make it more accessible to fans. Make it more affordable. Get the kids in there. Embrace the social media. You know, they're finally doing that. But, like, stop messing with the game. It's perfect. 90 feet between bases, 60 feet, 6 inches. Like, just leave it alone. 4 balls, 3 strikes. I mean, even that used to be different back in the day. But, like, you know, baseball in the 1800s, if you caught a batted ball on one bounce for a while, that was an out. But like, it's at this place. It's great. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Stop juicing the baseballs. Stop bringing in the fences. We have enough home runs. Leave it alone.
Well, on that note, Zach, this has been a ton of fun. Appreciate it.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you. You're a good interviewer. Good questions. You have a great voice for professional baseball announcing. I hope to see you calling big league games someday.
I appreciate that, Zach. Do you like Foul Ball Guy or do you not like Foul Ball Guy?
Foul Ball Guy is fine, but I would also like to point out that Home Run Guy would be accurate too.
That works. Well, Zach, Home Run Guy, Foul Ball Guy, appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Hope you enjoyed that video with Zack Hample. If you did, leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel for more videos coming soon. I'd love to hear from you who you want me to talk to next, so you can reach me at Paul Fritchner on Twitter or just leave a comment down below and I'll check it out. But again, thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.